Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today is more of a bolt-on to the original flywheel set of videos that I did. I guess I should have seen this coming, but it's always good as people make comments on videos to learn things that I maybe could have done better or I might have missed out. So one of the key comments that came through in one of the videos was regarding the tensioner, which I replaced for the cam belt when I changed that. The comment came from a very reputable source, so I have no qualms about believing that, and following up with it is certainly true. So I replaced the tensioner, which was just bought an off-the-shelf tensioner to replace that product. I had it sitting on my desk for quite a few weeks before we did the job. I forgot about it until the last minute, and then I saw it and I thought, right, let's just change that at the same time as the belt. Little did I know that Caterham have actually modified the tensioners that they use, and the reason for that is, or the reason I was given, it makes a lot of sense to me, is that if you are racing your car or tracking it and you happen to spin and roll backwards with the engine in forward gear, the engine actually will go into backwards, it will run backwards, and apparently the act of doing that can throw the tensioner. The spring on the tensioner can be overcome, the belt potentially can slip, and you can damage valves with pistons. So the objective of today's video then is for me to cannibalize this off-the-shelf tensioner with these three parts that you can buy from Caterham. So there's a good post on the Lotus 7 Club that gives me instructions, but what I'll do today is I'll try and take you through how I'm going to do it. With a bit of luck, I'll manage it. I guess all of these are relatively inexpensive, so if I make any mistakes, I can always start again. The original tensioner is still on the car, but I bought a second one so I could try and do this job and then replace one for the other, and I'll have a spare tensioner for another day that I can do. So let's get on with it, and I'll try and take you through what I'm doing. Alright, so first things first, I need to try and deconstruct this. There's no nuts or bolts on it, so it's going to need drilled. What you've got is a released tensioner on the back. These two bits are held together with this pin, so they go through that hole and then this hole when you pull it together. You release that after you've placed it on the car. But for now I've released it so that the spring is a bit less under tension. And reading the post on the forum, I think really I've got to try and drill out this section here to release this washer from the rest of the central section. And then what we're going to do is this collar here, collared piece, slides in there. No, it doesn't. I'm telling a lie. It slides in this way. And then in between this wonky bit of framework and the rest of it, you've got this washer, so it sits in there, kind of in between like that, I believe. I might be wrong, but that's where we are. You'll see as we go through. And then as that goes all the way through, this bit here goes on there and replaces that. Now, I forgot to mention actually, the reason for this modification is that, as I mentioned, with the spring can be overcome when you might spin the car. And the objective here is that you allow the spring to tension the belt, but then you crank the bolt up even tighter and it sets it, it's locked on against the engine block, so that spring is no longer springy, it's set effectively. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be in a state of not being able to be held together when this is on, so we'll have to just use a nut and bolt to hold it together until it's ready to go on. But that's okay. So let me go on with it. So I think to drill that out, it's not going to be easy because everything spins. So I think what I'll do is I'll get a block of wood and I'll draw some shapes in the wood and I'll drill out so that these lugs can sit in the block of wood, and that will give me something stable to hold the tensioner in. So first things first, let's find out how we're going to do that. There we go. It's a bit rough and ready, but it won't turn. Now I'll block this in the vise and see if we can't maybe drill that bit out there. Now there's actually There's a wee hole here. I might just put a screw in that just to hold everything down. Let me see what we can do. There's a wee screw. Lovely stuff. See how this works. Right, try again. I've not re-screwed this in, so let's pop it in just for a bit of security. That'll do. Put the tape down again to protect the bearing from any residue. Oh, now we've got this. Right. Put another screw in there just to stop it spinning, because it's turning the spring. No tension, just to stop it spinning. Ooh. Right, how's that doing? Not yet. Haha! Bingo. That is a bingo. Right, that is all perfect, actually. Perfect. Now, now the spring is ready to spring. So I need to. All the metal shavings are actually quite big, so that's good. And that we're going to have less dust damage. Inside the main hole in the shaft here, there's actually a shim. I was just noticing because I couldn't get the new, whatever you call it, that thing, to slide in. So I've taken the shim out, and that's one of the other things you should discard, apparently, having had a closer look. However, the new Caterham bit does not fit in the hole. But it's like a micron or something. It's really nothing. So I'm just going to have a wee think and see. I don't think it's something we can, it's going to stop play. I think a little bit of wet and dry. I might just bring the new bit a smidgen thinner, or find out a way of just buffing the inside of that, but it has to be done as well as possible, really. So I think the easiest way would be slowly, with a bit of wet and dry around here, and just see how we go on, because it literally is the tiniest of margins. All right, had to upgrade to emery paper. The wet and dry was just not cutting it, really. I had to take off a little bit more than I thought, as is always the case. So now we can start rebuilding. This is now Alright, now that I've got the new tensioner all converted, it's time to try and get access to the old tensioner. So, if I remember rightly, I'm going to have to take this auxiliary belt off, take off this tensioner, I think, take off all the the bolts that hold on the plastic casing, undo that zip tie, and then just take it from there. I can't remember if I needed to take the alternator off or not, that framework, but I guess we'll find out shortly, so let's go. Oh, lovely stuff. Okay, nice to see everything's still attached in here. So there's the tensioner, doing some tensioning. So I don't know if this is a great idea or not, but I'm taking up the tension of the cam belt with a bungee cord temporarily, just to hold position. I've marked position with a bit of Tipp-Ex on the belt and the wheel. Can't really find an easy way of doing that down there, so I'm not going to worry about that, in the hope that it's not going to move. So this bungee is attached to a zip tie, which is attached to the cord. I'm going to gradually take the tension off this tensioner, put in the locking pin, see how the belt is sitting, and if I'm happy with that, then I'm going to take the tensioner off, replace it with the new tensioner, set the tension, and then crank it tight, and hey presto, hopefully all is well. So let me see if I can get these two guys to talk to each other. We can get the... I kind of did this by hand last time, I think. Right, finally got the tensioner locked off spring-wise. See if I can show you. I used a screw because it's just a little bit less narrow, so I could slide it in a little bit easier. So what we'll do is we'll gradually take this tensioner off, keep an eye on the belt. It's not moved at all, so that's positive. I'm going to pop you back here. I'm going to slide this zip tie up here so we get a better hold on the belt, and kind of hold it where the tensioner has been holding it, like this, and then that's keeping that tight. Good. I think we'll take the tensioner off, pop a new one on, and see how it goes. This wasn't as scary a job as I was thinking. I hope that's not bad luck to say that. Okay, so that's the tensioner on. It's not fully tightened up because I appreciate now with what I've done to it, that should stop it springing. So what I'm going to do now is just shift the zip tie down a fraction, if I can. Actually, I could probably just lose the bungee cord now, to be honest, and just keep it tight by hand. And then pull the tensioner out. Hopefully this springs. Yes. Sprung nicely. Right, before I forget, let's get rid of this zip tie. Very good. Aha! So I was able to, where are you? I was able to pull these together by hand quite easily beforehand. And with this modification, now that I've cranked it up when it's tensioned, I can't do it at all now. I'll just give that a little bit more I'll go and see if I can find a torque setting for that actually, and crank it up, put it all back together, and then I think we can say that's safely done, that job. So yeah, so it was a bit of a journey from learning with a comment on YouTube to buying the bits, making the bits fit, and then fitting it to the car. So all being well, that's another job done. Tick in the box. I'm quite happy with that. So good, on to the next adventure.